Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Inside Navigators Insurance, their customer-centric digital transformation. We're going to have Tim Curry. Tim is the Senior Vice President of Personal Insurance at McLean Hallmark and Navigators. As a 40-year industry insurance leader, Tim's career has been spent between insurance markets, both the direct and the broker channels, ranging from traditional brokerages to the digital transformation that they are on now. And joining Tim is Cassidy Allison from McLean Hallmark and Navigators. She is marketing manager over there, and as a marketing professional first and a Ryerson University RTA School of Media graduate, Cassidy brings a unique perspective to lagging innovation in insurance marketing. And then lastly, who you're going to be hearing from today is Jennifer Pugley. Jennifer is Director of Client Services and Insurance SME at Goose Digital. She brings over 12 years of experience as a licensed broker across personal and commercial lines, and is a second-generation insurance professional with combined knowledge of all areas of brokerage and direct models. So if we want to go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So housekeeping, we did the introduction, so we got that taken care of. Housekeeping, we appreciate if you wanted to keep your Q&A, we'll do that at the end, but you can actually please make sure that you ask questions through the GoToWebinar panel. So the changing insurance landscape, this is not really a surprise, hopefully it's not, but you know, we're in an industry that is being disrupted like never before. And these changes are impacting careers, brokers, and they're also impacting our consumers. So to adapt to the marketing shifts and consumer demands, combinations of strategy and technology are now required. We refer to this as the digital excellence framework. Finally, we're going to go ahead and showcase how Navigators Insurance, they were able to recognize and respond to market changes using this technology. I want to go ahead and go over to the next slide. So, Tim, I believe this is over to you now.
Thank you very much, Scott. What I would just like to do is give everybody a bit of an insight into Navigators and what we do. Navigators is a wholly owned subsidiary of McLean Hallmark Insurance Group. Navigators is our personal insurance brand, and recognizing the changes in the marketplace and the buying habits of our consumers, we started dabbling in digital insurance about 5 or 6 years ago. And we were learning that what we were doing wasn't working exactly the way we wanted it to. So we wanted to sort of step back and take this initiative to the next level. And in doing that, we looked for opportunities within the marketplace. We looked for partnerships, and through one of our insurance market partners, we were able to connect with Goose Digital. And this way, we created a three-way partnership between us, being the broker, Goose Digital being the marketing expert, and RSA being the marketplace. Through what we wanted to do is create alignment where we would have markets looking for specific customers and us able to attract those. But we first had to sort of step back and make a significant investment in what we wanted to do. We invested in the last 2 years in a new BMS system, a new phone system, a new lead distribution system, and the integration between those two things. It's a major initiative to get things aligned. It's a very competitive marketplace. We learned an incredible amount of marketing techniques and different things from Goose and from other partners. And, you know, it really started to separate us in the eyes of the marketplaces from brokers that were still doing business traditionally to us that was starting to look at how we attract and speak to our potential customers in a different manner. On the McLean Hallmark side, we continue to do business under that brand, but it's specifically for commercial. So anything you hear about today, for the most part, will have to do with Navigators.
Perfect. Thanks, Tim. Jen, over to you. Let's hear about Goose Digital.
Thanks, Scott. Hi, everyone. A little bit about Goose Digital. We've worked very hard to become certified experts in marketing automation and digital marketing services over the years. We're very proud about that. One of the core areas we specialize in is underpinning technology investments with long-term strategy. We find this is a challenging area for a lot of organizations, whether they're big or small. Our team has significant experience across the P&C insurance industry, both at the broker level, carrier level, models that involve e-commerce, and traditional business models. We have a national presence with our head office in Toronto, and we'll be at ICTC in Toronto next week. So if any of you are attending, come by and say hello. In addition to our insurance vertical, we help companies in other industries such as tech, e-commerce, and manufacturing. This actually allows us to draw from other strategies and share concepts across verticals, particularly one that's really common is brick and mortar retail and their transition to e-commerce. So maybe we can just chat a little bit about the shift in insurance. It's been widely talked about for about 4 to 5 years. A lot has taken place, but a lot has actually stayed the same. We find this because of that, it makes it even more evident that it's hard for a large and legacy industry to change. So why is it so hard? This industry has a lot of complexities to consider, going over the carriers to open data frameworks, and then actually getting to a point where you can put in a professional marketing program. Current lack of connectivity across APIs, all sources and applications, lack of open data frameworks, it's very, very hard to get to a omni-channel strategy at this point. There's roadblocks on every corner, but the good news is that this is changing, and we're hoping to hear more about this change at ICTC next year. The disruption, though, is happening. Here's some examples of disruptors in the space. We show these examples because these are providers that are not the traditional brokerage adopting digital, but rather companies that have reinvented traditional models entirely. The story that you're going to hear about today is about Navigators, and that's a traditional brokerage and their digital transformation journey so far. So digital disruption is accelerating. Most of us know that the rate is happening very fast, but as you can see, it's happening very fast. Between 1995 and 2010, acceleration had around a 15-year gap, largely due to the invention of a smartphone. Now acceleration is very rapid. Complexities are growing and privacy risks are very high. Retail and banking understood this really early and they adapted, but what's important to notice here on this timeline is that actually took place over 30 years, not nearly as fast as things are happening today. But what's really common in this industry, or in retail and banking in this industry, is that every tactic was driven by 3 things. So we see that as increased customer satisfaction, revenue optimization, and operational improvement. This is actually the exact same in insurance. But with the rate of things happening so fast, we actually don't have the luxury of 30 years to figure this all out. There's far more disruption ahead in this industry. We like to use the phrase that nothing's been actually Ubered yet, and this industry has a long way to go. We've seen major pickup in the last 18 months, though. So let's just take a look at omnichannel service. Omnichannel means meeting your customers and prospects on their terms and when and how they choose to do business with you. So by phone, face-to-face, or on the web, for example. This is how people engage on a daily basis. Insurance is the one area where we don't yet have a full omnichannel choice across all providers. Experiences are actually still very fragmented. Personal lines is getting there, and this speaks very heavy to personal lines. Maybe in our next webinar, we'll break down commercial lines strategies and why they're becoming a major focus, but today we're going to focus on personal. So to further that point, which you may have already heard, 68% of insurance consumers search for information online, whether that be to shop, answer claims questions, make changes to their policy, or to really just understand what they've purchased and how they're protected. The thing is that if you're not an option during this process, you're out of sight and you're out of mind. The public doesn't know you exist. So with all this, so what are all the answers? So Goose has spent 4 years building a strategy-led approach to help this industry leverage digital to grow, improve workflows within the business, and enable insights that are needed in order to keep moving through the journey, but in a data-driven way. And we've built what we call the modern marketing stack. So this is our complete view of a solid marketing foundation. I'm going to walk you through this diagram from bottom to top. So your BMS, and in some cases a CRM if you have one, is your holder of all data. So your leads, your contacts, customers, etc. This is a fancy way of saying your organized database. But we all know that databases are not always clean, especially as much as we need them to be moving forward. This, though, is your BMS and your CRM or together is actually going to feed right into your marketing automation platform and power the execution layer that you see in green and actually even orange. Used independently of one another, they are good tools, and a lot of companies do start without the integration of the two, but used together is when you really unleash the power, sort of like peanut butter and chocolate, good alone, but better together. The other important thing to note here is that data plus marketing automation is going to allow you to hit personalization and relevance at scale. There's actually no other way to do this unless the two systems are speaking together. So example, really quick, if you're sending a random non-personalized quote follow-up, let's say a week later to your prospect, this isn't going to have the same value as if it was in real time and contained all of the information about what that person had on their quote. So premium, coverage, when it was good for, and how they could easily bind or buy it. This joint stack then is going to feed into your websites, your landing pages, and any other web applications. It's then going to stretch over all your primary engagement channels that you see up here in the gray. And then finally, the whole foundation is governed by a strategy. So we're big believers that without a strategy guiding the plan and its purpose, this is just unfocused and in some cases unused technology and tactics. So our framework is specifically designed to power two key journeys, that of the customer and that of the broker. So the one that you're seeing here is really the customer journey, from being findable in any channel and to meeting a whole wide range of expectations across the customer journey and life cycle. It's also helping prospects and customers make decisions by showing them the value a broker can bring. We at the core believe this still hasn't changed. And now the broker journey. So for marketing's role in this journey, we need to be at the top of the funnel, we need to be driving the right leads. So maybe some of the questions you're asking yourselves are we driving the right leads? Are we driving leads that are looking for cheap insurance to our website? Are they good from a risk quality perspective? Do we know things like our cost per acquisition, our cost per quote, and do these have the potential to grow? These questions and more all need to be part of the strategy, whether you have an e-commerce site that's powering that sale or connecting leads to agents in a call center. And then over to sales, really about maximizing your sales efforts by identifying leads that are ready to buy and using marketing automation to nurture those that aren't ready to buy. And then finally, going into service. What's really cool is that you'll end up getting a 360 view of your customer all the way from prospect to customer, self-service when needed to take the load off your CSRs, relevant follow-ups, and then on to customer satisfaction and referrals. So based on all this knowledge, Goose has built a digital excellence framework, as Scott mentioned earlier. What we do is we identify where a broker currently sits in the digital path, and this allows us to determine where and how we're going to move the strategy forward. For most brokers in Canada today, They're usually in the digital beginner stage, and this likely means they've been doing a lot of things and tactics for a while, but they haven't been able to develop a broader overarching strategy. So our goal is to get our clients into that strategic approach bucket that you see there in the first blue, before even moving into, you know, the optimizing growth. After a few years, the data and knowledge is what's going to allow you to get really powered in that optimizing growth strategy area. Over on the right, far right there, you're going to see those innovators. Those are the big risk takers, and for our traditional brokerages, it doesn't actually mean that you're starting there with some big embrace of risk in a new product model, for example. So breaking down the digital excellent broker a little bit more, looking at what worked across other industries, it was clear that a digital transformation, a successful one, actually went way beyond digital marketing and technology. It necessitates improvements and changes actually across all areas of the business. So the reason you're going to see the leadership there in green, we truly believe it begins with leadership. Digital transformation isn't something that can be achieved in the 5 free minutes that somebody has. A strong vision and strategy has to come from leadership. They need to be involved every step of the way and empower the team that they're working with in order to drive things forward. It's then going to flow into people and operations, optimizing operations across sales and service, flowing into customer experience, so making it easy for your customers to do business with you across the entire customer life cycle, and whether that is actually online or offline. And then into technology. Invest in best-of-breed technology and understand that this will be like a multi-year strategic approach and how it's used and utilized. You're not going to do all things on day one with your technology. Then it's going to move into leveraging data sources to maximize these strategies. So we know that there's a lot of challenges currently in this industry with integration, but leveraging even some data that you can is better than actually pausing or doing nothing. And then the other important thing to note is that this wheel is constantly moving throughout your journey. So now let's get into Navigators and the digital transformation strategies we've built alongside our wonderful clients. We thought it'd be helpful for our audience to see where they're at today and where they're headed this year.
Hello. I hope you're all enjoying the webinar so far. I'm Cassidy from Navigators, and I'm going to walk you through this. This was something that Tim created for us right in the beginning of us thinking about our digital transformation. We were thinking about this at a time when the industry was categorizing brokers as the ones who are in it and the ones who are not, and we wanted to make sure we were in that in it group. We recognized the need for change to stand out from our competitors and to better serve our clients. So this little diagram that was drawn on a scrap piece of paper has really been our guiding light for our strategy going forward. And it's quite conceptual, but it really helps bring some of the things we've been working on to life.
Awesome. So we talked a little bit about critical tools before. Best-of-breed technology like Act-On is going to power a lot of the pieces in your digital transformation. So these platforms were actually born out of the need to draw together channels, campaigns, departments, systems, audiences, behaviors, and reporting into one singular view. So when Navigators was looking at platforms, we recommended Act-On because of its broad capabilities, but really three critical areas stuck out for us. So the ease of integration across all applications with Act-On, strong lead management because BMSs tend to lack the functionality compared to traditional CRMs, and the support of being able to support complex trigger and messaging workflows. So this is very key when you're dealing with multi-policies, multi-products, multi-renewal dates, and just being able to actually piece those journeys together in a platform. So Cassidy, do you want to, oh, go ahead, yep. Just gonna.
We'll recognize this slide from earlier. This is the Goose's digital modern marketing stack, and this is kind of the part where we're going to tell you what we've been working on. So as you can see from the check marks, we've kind of started to check off a lot of the things in this stack, and some of these things are just things we've just started. For example, our personalized content is still quite basic, but as we start to build more integration, which we're going to talk about in a bit, that will get more and more complex. The email campaigns, we built a brand new website that was far more user-friendly, landing pages to target our specific people who are targeting with Google Ads. All of that was underpinned by the most important part, which is strategy. As Tim mentioned earlier, we'd been doing lots of things before, but we didn't have a real plan or strategy in place. So that's really been guiding our work on each of these areas. And it's been a journey. We're by no means done any of these things. That you can never be done. There's always new things to do, new things to try, new things to test. So we're pretty excited to continue the journey on that.
Thanks, Cassidy. Yeah, so a little bit about integration. This is our nice little diagram of what we've been doing so far. Key systems, integrating key systems, a big area, and part of a multi-year plan. We're well on our way with integrations with Navigators in 24 months. We've done a phone system, web, and now we're on to the BMS and service applications. The next phase of the digital transformation project is very exciting. After ShoreTel phone systems and Act-On for lead and service workflows, we've actually begun a revolutionary integration with Epic that we're very excited to roll out this spring. Cassidy, do you want to kind of take everybody through what the sales flow looks like right now?
Sure. So right now, there's sort of two buckets of ways that someone can enter our sales queue. They can either come from our website, which would be any sort of organic lead, or a lead coming from one of our paid channels. Those paid leads come through Act-On and are then routed into our ShoreTel queue. That's our phone system. From there, any phone calls, text messages, emails, or chats are also routed through the phone system and distributed to the first available salesperson. This has drastically reduced our response times to our clients, which has been extremely helpful. From there, the salespeople are manually inputting this data into now Epic. We used to be on KeelStig. And then we are currently manually reloading that data into Act-On to match back to web leads and then to nurture clean leads and customers.
Thanks.
So over the last 2 years, we've been doing a lot of work, as you can imagine. This is sort of our timeline for the last 24 months, and as you can see, we've been busy. From a high level, we started with our strategic pieces, including branding, some personalized personas, and a content calendar. We also launched our new phone system with ShoreTel, a new website, a marketing automation program, and kicked off some ad campaigns with a promotion strategy, email nurturing, and KPI reporting. So it's been very busy, but we're very excited about all the work that we've done in that time. And I would like to add at this point that there's no way we could do all of that without a dedicated resource. I'm the marketing manager here. We also have a marketing assistant who works with us. So there's no way we could do this as sort of a side project without a dedicated resource and without the assistance from Goose Digital. So I want to make that clear that you can't just do all of this. It's not easy.
Thanks, Cassidy.
We also spent a lot of time working on tracking and measuring the things that we were working on. So these KPIs that you see here, conversion rate, cost per conversion, click-through rate, quality of the leads, so non-standard leads were important to us. Our lead volume, our lead quality, time on site, bounce rate, response time, and return on our marketing investment. When we dabbled in our digital marketing before, we didn't really pay attention to how things were going. So we didn't really have any visibility into what we could do better. Now that we're tracking all of these KPIs and a few more, we have far more visibility into what's going on, and we can make more informed decisions about the type of route we want to take on new campaigns.
Yeah, so thanks, Cassidy. That's great. I'm going to turn this over to Tim for a second here. Navigators has really embraced the mission of becoming digitally excellent in all of these areas. So Tim, can you share some examples of what Navigators has done in this evolution?
Absolutely. You know, as you've heard, the transformation is really a complex thing that involves many people to make it happen. And it's been, you know, an interesting journey for a brokerage that really wanted to focus on transferring from being an analog brokerage to one that was more digitally focused. And I think the one thing that's really important to take it away, this isn't like a little project that starts one year. This is a total transformation. And for that to happen, you need the leadership in an organization to be fully committed, fully supporting that and participate in this in a big way. The other key thing is that, you know, there has to be a significant amount of budgeting thought process that goes into this, because you have to make this happen. And from a leadership perspective, you have to, you know, rank things and prioritize them. With regard to people and operations, you know, we really wanted to do business differently, and, you know, you have to go in with that mindset, and then you have to align yourselves with people like Cassidy and the folks at Goose that really see and get excited about that challenge and really want to help support the vision and move the brokerage forward. And then the final thing, you know, is you need to sort of integrate that as well too. From a customer experience standpoint, as Jen alluded to, this is really omni-channel based. We were really trying to look at how we would speak to our customers differently, personalized contact with them, really show them that through the digital transformation, they would benefit from it, and they would gather and see how we gather better insight and do business differently with us. We really started out with an objective of trying to go from a quote bind, an online quote and bind system. It was a little more complex than we thought, but we're beginning to shift, and we feel really good about it. You're also able to, from a customer and prospect standpoint, build campaigns that focus both on sales and service, which you know, again, you tend to focus primarily on sales, but there is a large win on the service side as well. The other thing, and you've heard a lot about this, we wanted best of breed technology. We wanted to align our objective with the technology pieces that A, we could afford, and B, we could fit into our program. We've done that, and we're quite pleased with how they integrate. As Kathy mentioned, we went through our website, made it look a little more compelling and a little more up to date. And as we've heard over and over, the technology component of it is that we took away. The biggest thing we took away from technology is that we've learned a lot. We've been able to find out what we were doing well, and we want to stop doing those things that weren't driving leads to us and do more of those things that were a positive approach to us. And I guess from a technology standpoint, from an overall standpoint too, you know, this is a multi-year piece. You can see that we've been at this for quite some time. We're well into the journey, but by no means are we near the end. And then the final point on the wheel is using the data strategically. Again, you quickly realize through the transformation that we did, we were initially just focused on leads and how many leads we would get. And then through this, we really were able to develop personas, focus on personas, and drill down on the type of customers that not only that we wanted, but the type of customer, most importantly, that we were able to sell to our client or to our insurance company partners.
That's great. Thanks, Tim. I wanted to get into a little bit of these marketing automation use cases that you might have heard us talk about if you've joined any of our workshops, but they're communications that are automated to help support the sales and service cycles of your business. So when it comes to powering specific insurance use cases, this is where Acton really shines. So unlike some of the other marketing automation providers in the space, Acton enables complete personalization, customization, and tracking of these communications. So for example, not all quotes are going to close. You'll have to nurture those quotes at different stages of the buying cycle, online and offline. We're going to show you some examples of some email use cases, but retargeting and remarketing extends over Google, Facebook, Instagram, and other channels as well. So this is just an example of a cross-sell. You can see there's heavy levels of personalization on policy types, product offering, appointment and scheduling, and then if you want it signed by, a key producer or CSR. Next one's just an example of a renewal reminder. Again, can either come from a specific CSR or producer. These ones get really cool when we get into commercial lines, because then you can actually schedule your appointments and get in front of your customer well before the 90-day mark. The one thing I wanted to point out about these use cases is that they're fully customizable. So what you see here is actually not canned. It's you have the company brokerage has complete control over the way that these look and feel and deploy. So what's next for Navigators? I'll let Cassidy kind of jump in here too, but we've got a lot planned for the next 12 months. Hopefully we get to it all. Cassie, you want to chat about some of this?
Sure. So I'm super excited because the last 24 months have been very sort of building blocks oriented, and now we're starting to get into the time when we're starting to put some of that stuff in place. I'm really excited to be leveraging some of the data that we've been gathering over the last while to make our communications more personalized. Having a formal 12-month campaign calendar is something that we haven't really followed or done before. And we're excited to take what we've learned on that previous slide about Navigators and turn it into a commercial strategy as well.
Yeah, very excited about that. We're one of the cool things that we think we can see here too. Cassie and I were talking about this the other day, that it's really only February, and we are pretty proud to say that everything in kind of Q1 there is we're well into that. So that's impressive, and it takes a lot of work, but every year it keeps getting better and better. So I'm going to turn it over to our MAP partner, Scott, to give us a bit of an overview of Acton.
Perfect, Jen. Thanks so much. So, folks, you've seen an incredible journey so far, and it's for somebody like me that's been in marketing automation for quite some time, seeing an industry that is taking that opportunity for disruption and really turning it into their advantage is so exciting. And we are very close partners with Goose. They're just a fantastic partner to work with. So I can't give them a high enough kudos. And I'm sure that Navigators would do the same thing. You bet. That's unpaid, by the way. So you've been hearing a lot about what's possible with Acton. So real quickly, Acton, we're helping you guys up-level your marketing. So what we'd like to do is we'll talk about taking email blasters, and you know what? That's a great place to start. You have to be doing something out there to get your name out, to attract people to you. But basically, simple email blasting, 10 years ago, fantastic. That's a great way to start. But what you're really doing, we call it batch and blast. You just put a whole bunch of email addresses together, you throw it out there, and you hope that somebody responds. But what happens is you're not getting that key piece of information. One of the pieces that Jen was talking about was just basically going back and looking at some of the marketing automation use cases. and being able to respond directly to what the customer or prospect is coming back and telling you. They're digital breadcrumbs. So, it leads to a lot of manual efforts. It's just super, super time consuming. Well, what's happening is we talked about some omni-channel and multi-channel campaigners. Well, that's where Navigators is going to, and that's where they're getting to. And this is where you all can get to as well. Being able to go out and do some specific segmentation. Well, if somebody's looking at the commercials line, you're not going to send them the same type of information as you would somebody on the personals. So what's happening is you're being able to take all this information, I use the phrase digital breadcrumbs, and you're being able to take that customer data and line it up to exactly what the customer or the prospect is telling you that they want to hear about, which when you pass that over to sales then, that becomes so much more actionable. If I know anything about a customer or prospect that I'm getting ready to make a call into, I can see, like on the personal lines, they're looking at some specific policy, or on the commercials, this is a company that looks like they are going to be completely redoing their policies overall. So I'm able to speak much more intelligently to that prospect that I'm getting on the phone with well in advance, and I'm being able to do a little bit more research. And it enables the campaign to be really scaled up and become highly personal. So if you want to jump up to the next slide there. So Jen touched on it a little bit, and Cassidy as well. Personalization today is critical. We're hyper personalized. So being able to really individualize, not only from just a thing that would say, for example, hi Scott, saw that you were looking at these commercial lines. What can we do to help you? But going to the next one, taking that big data and the artificial intelligence, be able to say, we're going to take this personalization to the next level, and we're going to say, for example, predictive engagement time that you can leverage. So, not everybody opens their email all at the same time. I love to use a joke that if you get 10 marketers in a room together and ask them when the best time to send a email out, you're going to get 15 different answers. Well, let's take that to the next step and say, you know what? We can actually tell you, based on some interactions that we've had, when is the actual best truly predicted engagement time. So, for example, maybe I'm looking at those emails that you're sending to me on Wednesday night at 8:30. Well, fantastic. Wouldn't that be great if you could trigger those campaigns to go out to say, you know what, we know Scott looks at his emails on Tuesday nights or Wednesday nights at 8:30, but you know what? Tim looks at his on Friday mornings at 6. Cassidy looks at hers on Thursday afternoons at 4 o'clock. Well, let's go ahead and use that information to personalize exactly when they're best engaged, and also what types of materials are they looking at and how are they engaging with you. Pretty next level stuff that you're able to leverage right now. And we are the fastest time to value. We have the industry leading support, and it's a platform that is designed by marketers for marketers. That's one of the key pieces right there. Is we understand marketing. At Acton, we live, breathe, and eat our own cooking. We use our tools, and so we understand what the marketers are looking for. And when you take a look at that whole customer-centric philosophy and bringing it in together, it just helps you better engage with your customers. Again, not only the prospects, but your existing customers as well. So I'm going to go ahead and jump up to the next slide there. We're going to go just a little bit real quickly about Acton. We are trusted by more than 4,000 marketing teams for helping their sales teams and their engagement go from just a lead all the way down to sale. And then, as we mentioned before, we're cross-sell and upsell. Since 2016, we are recognized as a leader in the Gartner categories. And in the one that just came out, this Research in Action, we can actually see that we are the upper right-hand market leader. That's Acton. So you're getting a industry-leading technology that you can leverage. Because of that, we're actually able to double our R&D in 2018. That is going to allow some fantastic innovations. You heard about, I mentioned using artificial intelligence to find out the best predictive engagement time. We're looking at doing, predictive engagement forms. What is the best materials to sell to them? personalization from a very, very tight and deep level. And one of the things that's fantastic, we are profitable. Acton has been around since about 2008, and we are in control of our own destiny. We have rapidly become a profitable company, which is fantastic in this day and age. So that's something that we're very, very proud of, that you can leverage. We're in it with this for you with the long run. So I think that is about what I wanted to cover. Folks, was there some? Well, we did have some questions that came in, so this is fantastic. So thank you all. So I think looking at this first one that's come through, Tim, Cassidy, I think this one is more for you, because the question is, integration is a big issue from a technical standpoint. Certainly understand that. Did you all experience this? And kind of the follow-on question is, can you obviously tell us how you dealt with all this?
Yeah, for sure. So absolutely, it was a huge challenge. It's an ongoing challenge, but our sort of standpoint on that is that we're sort of taking the baby steps. We're doing a crawl, walk, run situation. So we started by updating our broker management system to what we believe is one of the top options out there. And then we started by getting a new phone system that integrates with our marketing automation tool. And so we're just, taking those baby steps, and partnering with someone like Goose has helped us to put a plan in place for that type of thing. As of today, we are not integrated with Epic, between our marketing automation and Epic, but we are pushing very hard on that front, and we're hoping to get that in place, because that will really take what we've been working on to the next level. But absolutely, it's been a challenge, but I encourage everyone to sort of take baby steps, find the things you can integrate today, and don't wait until you can have the whole cake. Just have a slice.
Yep, agreed. And it's not just, another point here too is that everybody, I think we always jump to our broker management system, and, integration means all other key systems, right? So your websites, portals, and mobile applications as well. There's tons that can be leveraged with the data within those platforms as well.
Perfect. Oh, that's great. So a follow-on question popped in, and this is clearly for Navigators. Where have you seen some improvements?
Well, maybe I can jump in on that one. Really, there was a couple things that we learned right out of the gate. When we first started doing this, we were getting a fairly large percentage of our leads were non-standard business, and through our work with Goose and being able to identify specific types of business that we wanted and to drill down on how we communicate with them, we were able to shift our splits in a more positive manner. We didn't want to just get the business that was floating around in the marketplace. We really wanted to figure out how we got to the hardest business, which is the good business. It's harder to move, but that was one of our first takeaways. Was we realized what of a large percentage of our activity was in the non-standard auto market, and then we were able to shift those dynamics. The other thing that we were able to do, obviously, was radically decrease our response rate to new leads. We used to, as I said before, have a fairly manual analog system, and through digital integration, we were able to get our response time down to seconds. And the other thing that we're doing much better of is a source of leads. Again, when we first started in this, we were getting leads in, but we really didn't know where they were coming from, what drove them in, and we were able to much better understand where those leads came from. And again, allowing us to focus on the types of leads, focus more effort and more resources on the type of leads that we wanted.
Perfect, Tim. Yeah, speaking for Acton, and you are singing a great chorus with us. The faster that you can get to those leads that come in, there's no time like the present to get on them. And then also really understanding, I love what you said there, Tim, understanding where your leads are truly coming from. That is so critical because that helps you refine your message and maybe identify a new market that you hadn't really thought about if you're finding out that they're coming in from a different venue that you hadn't really considered before. That great information. Thanks, Tim. Okay, I got one more here that's come in, and we're going to try to give you guys some time back in your day. But this one clearly is for Goose. I mean, this tells me people are really paying attention because the question is, we saw that there was a senior insurance executive and marketing manager that were really involved with the project from beginning all the way through and continue to be. Is this typical for a digital project like this? And then kind of a second question that was there too for you, Jen, is what do you think are the resources that need to be in place for success?
Yeah, so it does make a difference. So when we're talking about the marketing manager and the executive, in this case, we're talking about Tim, Cassidy, and Sarah, which is not on this call. She's also, Cassidy mentioned her earlier, is a digital marketing coordinator and social media resource at Navigators. But really, I honestly lately have been thinking it really takes a village, sort of similar to raising kids. But we do require, it works best when we do have that some expertise inside the business. But Goose Digital is all about enabling our brokers and actually the teams that we work with across all verticals. So for example, we may be wearing many hats and all of the hats for the first year, depending on actually who's in the seats internally. And then as we get internal people up to speed, we end up usually taking more strategic parts, more of the heavy lifting as we build the teams up. But it's definitely not, we don't operate in this black box. We're very much a team week over week. Oftentimes we're talking daily.
Perfect. Jen, thanks so much. Well, folks, thank you for attending. And Tim and Cassie, thank you for sharing so candidly with the journey that you started with Goose and that you continue to be on. I think there's a lot of comfort for everybody that's on the call today to understand it's not, you don't have to go from walking to a marathon, but it really is a crawl, walk, run, and thinking things through and planning them out multiple times is perfect, and leveraging the folks at Goose and myself at Acton if you need to as well. That would be great. But thank you for your time. We'll be doing some follow-ups. If other questions come through, feel free to send those over to Jen, and I know we'll get back to you. Folks, have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you for attending.